Hi, I'm Dave-Cassilo of Northeast Ohio Media Group, and I got Joe-Noga with me today for neo-varsity live. We're going to be breaking down what should be an exciting week of playoff action here. We're going to have the head coach of Mentor, Steve Trevisano, head coach of Bedford, Sean Williams, and head coach of Midview, DJ Shaw. They're all going to call in and join us. So we got a lot going on in the show. Make sure to get involved with hashtag neo-varsity to get your answers to our questions, ask the coaches questions, anything that you want. But we're going to start things off like we normally do, opening kickoff. First question for you, Joe. What player has had the best postseason so far?
I think it's pretty hard to argue Dustin Crum from Midview. Only a sophomore. He's passed for 589 yards in 2 games. It's a pretty good 2-game stretch for Dustin Crum.
Now, Dustin Crum and Midview, they're in Division II, where we have 4 semifinalists. What would be the best possible matchup between our local semifinalists there?
I got to say, watching Mayfield and Midview, if they both win and can get around here in maybe like at Byers Field or something like that, and meet up and just be a track meet up and down the field, I think that would be an exciting one to watch.
Yeah, I think it would be too. Now, we're talking about the teams that have made the postseason. What about the teams that are still in the postseason? What about the teams that are already out? Who surprises you the most?
You know, I'm kind of shocked that Glenville, they made it, and a lot of people sort of scratch their heads about, how did Glenville make it, only winning a few games. But, for them to be out after 1 game, credit to Willoughby South for doing the work there. What
region do you think has been the most exciting so far?
I think it's pretty easy. Region 4, you've got the Avon-Midview game that was overtime, real exciting. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Nordonia beating Perrysburg, an unbeaten Perrysburg team, and in thrilling fashion in that game. No question, Region 4, most exciting region in the area.
And my last question for you, and then we'll have you throw some my way. Kirtland, they've dominated Division 6 over the years. Do you think they could win a title at any higher level?
I think they'd have some fun in Division 5. Mm-hmm. Coldwater, their old playoff nemesis, is there. Coldwater knocked them out a couple of times when Kirtland was still in Division 5. I think if they went any higher, they'd run into Division 4 in Benedictine, and you're talking about Jerome Baker there. Definitely not this year any higher than Division 4.
Great.
Or Division 5. Let's flip the script here, Dave. I'm going to take the second half kickoff here. We'll go, which team has had the toughest road in the playoffs so far?
Man, I got to go just because of the last game, even though maybe the first game wasn't so hard, but Nordonia, to go through Perrysburg. Perrysburg is a quality team, a team that I thought, could definitely win a state title. And for Nordonia to get through that game, I think it shows they've got some moxie.
Yeah. Question number 2, which remaining team can least afford to lose their quarterback?
I would have to go with Midview. I mean, Dustin Crum, he's been just a revelation this year and carried that team. So if they lost him, I think it would be lights out for them.
Mm-hmm. Whose defense scores first in that Mayfield-Bedford game? Both teams have really good defenses.
I'm gonna go with Bedford. That was a tough one for me. I was originally going to go Mayfield, but now I'm going to go Bedford. I just think they make big plays, and I've seen them a lot this year, and I think they can do it.
And Mayfield passes the ball a little more, so there's a little bit more opportunity there as well.
Exactly.
Question number 4, which remaining team has the best kicker?
Best kicker? Man, well, I would have to go, I'll go with Hudson. I mean, I like their kicking game. It is... the best of anything out there. I really, honestly, haven't seen many teams with a good kicker, let alone one that can hit an extra point.
Grant Gagne, the kicker for Hudson, he stands about yay high as a freshman. Is pretty decent pick.
Yeah.
Here's the final question, question 5. If I set the over/under for the Hudson-Mentor game at 85.5 points, you taking the over, or you taking the under?
I'm going to go under. I think sometimes you get these games where you think it's going to be really high scoring and, the defense will just dominate and you don't get the game you expect. And I think that's what's going to happen this week.
You remember the first time they met back in week 9, it was 42-27 Hudson. So, these are teams that can put some points on the board. Playoffs are a totally different animal.
Definitely. Now we're going to be joined now by Midview coach DJ Shaw. And DJ, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Coach, let's start with the game last week against Avon, your league rival. You guys were able to pull it out in overtime. What was it like being on the sidelines for the end of that game?
It was a really crazy game. The last minute and a half, I think there was 3 touchdowns scored, and we had a 9-point lead with a minute and 35 seconds to go, and they had a onside kick that went their way and drove it down and scored, and then we scored with 1 second to go and missed the extra point for the win, and then went into overtime, and it was just a really crazy game, and it was really crazy on the sidelines as well.
Now, when you leave that game, do you feel like when you're going on a state tournament run where you're hoping to make it down to Columbus that you need a game like that to really test your guys for moments that could come down the road?
Yeah, I think it definitely does help us because, just having that experience late in the game and knowing that, we can never quit and keep believing in each other, that helps you at the end of the game if you're down and you're fighting to win a game that, maybe things aren't going your way. We've had to do that really all season. We had a game-winning drive against Lorraine in week 1 and also against Avon in week 5. So it's really something our guys have kind of gotten used to. And, I think they have faith in each other when we're down at the end of the game that they can come back and win it.
Coach, let's take a look at your opponent this week coming up. What really jumps off the page at you when you look at the Nordonia scouting report?
Well, they have a ton of athletes all around, and they're also surrounded by some very, very good players up front on both sides of the ball. But, their quarterback, David Burry, makes their offense go. He's a very, very good quarterback. And then, you throw some of those receivers that they have around him and a good running back and a good offensive line. It's an extremely tough team to stop. And then, on the other side of the ball, they have some very good interior players and also can play man-to-man on the outside and, once again, use some of those good athletes that play on both sides of the ball.
Well, we have a question that was submitted by one of our users, Vil584. He wants to know, like you mentioned David Murray, he wants to know if there's a way to slow him down in your game plan. He's shown the ability to beat opponents passing and with his legs.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's something that we'll certainly try to do, and I think you just try to mix things up against him, and hope that you can force him into some mistakes, and hopefully our guys can stick with their receivers. But there's really no magical formula with stopping him. You just hope that you can kind of try to slow him down.
We have another question that was submitted by Football Junkie. He asks, Coach Shaw, with the conditions not looking much brighter outside for Friday night, does Brett Sapancic factor any more into the game plan for you? Do you plan on leaning a little bit more on the run?
You know what? I think last Friday was some of the worst weather that you can actually play in the playoffs. The field was pure ice, and it was blowing snow the entire game. I think this Friday is actually supposed to be better, but really weather has nothing to do with it unless it's really rainy out or something like that. It just depends on what the other team gives us. If they put a certain number of guys in the box or give us a certain look, we're going to run the ball. If they don't, then if we like the numbers on the outside, we're going to throw it. And if they give us the numbers we like, we'll run the ball 50 times a game. It just really depends on how they try to cover us.
Coach, their game last week against Perrysburg was as sterling as yours. What did you take away from that game when you watched it on film?
Just like Perrysburg and Nordonia are very, very good teams, and it's unfortunate that one of them had to lose it, but I think they were both pretty equally matched, and like I said, both very, very good teams.
What do you think about the way your quarterback, Dustin Crum, has kind of stepped up in big moments just naturally? I mean, this is not someone that's, last year, Cody Callaway there. I mean, he's just stepping up and seems to be unfazed by the pressure.
Yeah, he's really been amazing this year. From week 1, I've used the word efficient for Dustin. He makes plays with his feet and his arm, and he just makes very, very good reads and very good decisions with the football. And, he's went from being efficient in my mind to being a playmaker, and he makes decisions for a quarterback that sophomores are not supposed to make. And he's been very cool under pressure, and he wants the ball in his hands at the end of a game, the end of a big game. He's kind of an ice in his veins kind of kid, and he's a tough kid, and he's very competitive.
All right, Coach. Well, we want to thank you very much for joining us. Good luck this week against Nordonia. It should be one great game.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, and we're going to move on to the high school roundtable portion of the show here. Our question this week: which Northeast Ohio football team is most likely to go 15-0? We put the post up, and a lot of you readers responded. Among the candidates, we had Kirtland, Hudson, Nordonia, Bedford, and Midview. Not overwhelming. I'd say 32% of the users voted in favor of Kirtland as being the team most likely to finish 15-0. David, what do you think among those teams?
Well, I think this is a tough one because I'm going to go with Hudson just because they beat St. Ignatius, which for my money was a team that could make it down to states. They've shown that they can win. And I know they had a tough road where they got Mentor coming up and potentially St. Edward, and then they've got to go beat whoever the best team is in Region 2. But I like the way Hudson's playing right now. I think the easiest answer would be I think the winner of Nordonia and Midview is going to go undefeated. But if I have to choose one, I just can't decide between that game, so I'm going to go with Hudson.
For my money, I'm going to stay small. I'm going to say Kirtland. You just don't mess with Tiger Laverty after November. They've just taken every team on and steamrolled them so far. Pretty easy pick to say Kirtland, two-time defending undefeated state champions. But I really do feel that when we get down to Columbus, it's going to be Kirtland standing there in 15-0.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Kirtland is this is a tough game. Loudonville, another undefeated team out there. Team that really doesn't come up in this area. They put a real hurting on Gilmore. I think they beat them by about 60 points. So it could be if they get over this one, it might be smooth sailing after that. Great. All right, we are now joined by Bedford coach Sean Williams. Coach, how are you doing today?
Very good. How's it going, fellas?
We're doing well. Glad you could join us. Coach, so far it's been pretty easy for you guys in the playoffs. Big wins over Garfield Heights and Willoughby South. Are you at all concerned, if you do get a really close game, how you guys are going to fare?
I think the guys are prepared through all the games that they play all season for great battles in the playoffs. They know what close games are about coming from last year. They're returning most of those guys, so I think we just have to get out. We just have to play football and let the chips fall where they may. But I think the team is truly prepared for whatever.
Great. Now, when you look at Mayfield, do you see a lot of similarities between the two teams?
Yes. They love to run the ball. They have a strong defense, a very quick running back, very good quarterback, with receivers, and they're a very, very strong team. I mean, at this point in the playoffs, you're not going to see anything but good.
Coach, it's Joe-noga here from cleveland.com. Are you confident in your offense's ability to throw the ball if you get forced into a situation where you've got to drop back and throw the ball downfield?
I think I'm very confident in it. I think Collins is a very good quarterback. I think he has the ability to throw the ball. He has an offensive line in front of him that will give him the time to throw the ball. He has receivers that can catch the ball. Cam Odom has been catching the ball very well for the past couple of weeks. So I'm very confident in our ability to throw the ball, and even more confident in our ability to run it.
You mentioned that your offense, has the ability to put points on the board. Were you surprised at how quickly and how many points you were able to put up against Willoughby South last week in the second round?
I would say no. We were not surprised. We had the expectation that our offense has the ability to go out and score some points. I was surprised how many points they put up in the third quarter. But we truly prepared for a full game of football, and we had forced some turnovers, and they were able to capitalize on each one of the turnovers and really able to put up some points and maintain the momentum. Willoughby South's a very good team, a very good team. But I'm not surprised at what they do as far as scoring points.
Coach, even though he's having a terrific season, I still feel like Shantez Moss is a guy that's under the radar, particularly because he splits carries with London Cloud. What could Shantez be doing if, he got 90 to 100% of the carries? And, just how good is this kid?
I think Shantez is a very good running back. He splits time with London, and he's still averaging over 100 yards a game. He had 159 yards last week and didn't have all the carries. So that just shows his ability. I mean, I think he's probably one of the better running backs in the area. In the junior class, he's probably number one that I've seen. And he's just a kid that's just a hard-nosed kid. He works very hard in practice. He got a fantastic coach. Mark Lantos does a fantastic job with the offense and the running backs. He was a great running back himself at Mount Union. So, I mean, it takes one to know one. And he's been saying Shantez is special for a long time. So he knows that.
Coach, you and I spoke earlier this season about what the success that this team is having how it has influenced the community there in Bedford. What's the feeling like walking the halls there at the high school and just out in the streets around your house there in Bedford now that the team is this far into the playoffs and having this much success? Okay.
Looks like we lost Coach Williams there. He probably has to go back and do some preparation for a big game against Mayfield this week. So we'll see if we get him back or if we might say that's all for Coach Williams this week. But now we're going to turn our attention to breaking down every local game that we have left. So Joe, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, we're going to do a couple of quick hits here for just our picks and our predictions and giving you the rundowns of each game in each game that the locals are involved in. First game, Division I, Region 1, Mentor versus Hudson, Akron, Infocision Stadium, 7 o'clock on Saturday. It's a rematch again of Week 9, won by Hudson, 41 to 27. My prediction here is Hudson. I know it's tough to beat a team twice in the same season, but I'm tired of picking against Hudson and getting burned by it. I did it a couple of times this year, and I'm just going to go with the Explorers. I think Mitch Guadagni has a little bit of that, flair to get a team through.
We're going to bring Sean Williams back in right now. Sorry we lost him there, but I believe Joe was asking you, Coach, what does all the success mean for the community, and how is, what's the vibe like in school these days now that you guys are so far in the playoffs?
The community is just going fantastic here in the community. Of course, I live here, and everybody's excited. Everybody's pumped up. Everybody wants some more Bedford gear. I mean, we've got tons of alumni coming to the game. The school is fantastic. The vibe in the school has been fantastic for the past couple of years, but right now it is on fire. I mean, everybody's having a really good time in school just because of all the what's going on with the football program starting off the basketball season. The coaches are having a good time. I can't tell you how much fun it is for all of us and how much we are enjoying the whole body of work that the kids are putting together on the field. And what I'm most impressed with what they're doing, and I'm talking about the student athletes, football players, is their GPAs. Their GPAs, we got kids getting the GPAs that they have never gotten before, just due to the focus that they're applying into the classroom with the football and everything, because all eyes are on them. And the bigger thing is what they do academically truly matters, because as they're smarter in the classroom, it's so easy to adjust on the field, and that's what we were able to do at halftime of the Willoughby's Health Game. So having the guys that are so much smarter, we were able to go in and make so many adjustments so fast and come back out, and they were able to apply it to the game right away, and that's what happened.
Coach, we appreciate you taking some time and then calling us back, and we wish you good luck against Mayfield this week.
Thank you. Sure, guys.
All right, hey, let's jump back into our little breakdown of the games. I was halfway through Region 1 with the local teams. The other game there is St. Edward versus Westerville Central. The Warhawks from Westerville Central rushed for 410 yards against Austintown Fitch last week. I don't see that happening against St. Edward. Their linebackers are just too good. St. Edward, Westerville's #1 quarterback is out with a concussion, we're hearing. My pick is St. Edward all the way.
All right, over to Division II, we've got, as you just heard from Coach Williams, we've got Bedford and Mayfield. I'm covering this game, so I'm not going to make a pick, but I will say, and you're covering it too.
I'm covering it too, so
neither of
I
us
can't
can
make
make
a
a pick. I will say, I think this is going to be a very close game. As you heard earlier, both teams play similar styles. They like to run the ball. They play good defense. You got playmakers on both sides. You got Brian Hunter and Andy Isabella on Mayfield, Shantez Moss, London Cloud for Bedford. I'm saying a game, 17-14, 20-14, something like that, comes down to the fourth quarter. The other one, exact opposite. You're going to have a shootout between Nordonia and Midview, two teams that survived upset bids last week, and it's going to be a great game. It's going to come down to, I think, who might have the ball last. And I'm going to go with Nordonia. I've picked them all season long to win a state title, and I'm not going to stop now.
Over in Division III, Hubbard takes on St. Vincent St. Mary. That's a game over at Ravenna's Gilchrist Field, notable for its blue turf and tiny press box. The Irish have knocked out Hubbard in the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 seasons. I think that streak ends this week. I think I'm going to take Hubbard. I'm going to say St. V doesn't make it back to the state semis. Yeah,
it's going to be, this is quite a test for them. Then over in Division IV, we got Benedictine and Bay, another 2 locals. It's been a great run for Bay, but I think this is sort of where it ends here. I think there's a difference in talent, and I think that this one might be a big deficit, come halftime even. So, but a good season for both, but we'll see. Maybe Bay will keep it a little closer.
Rounding it out, we've talked about Kirtland already. Kirtland-Loudonville, Battle of Unbeatens in Region 19, the championship game for that region. Loudonville has speed to burn all over the place, but like I said, Tiger Laverty and his team have literally seen it all in Division 6. I cannot pick against Kirtland in this game.
Yeah, should be a good one. All right, we got Mentor coach Steve Trevisano on the line. Coach, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was out there. I saw Mentor get the victory last week against Kent and Glen Oak. And Coach, you've got to really be happy with the way your team is playing right now. Is it hitting its stride and doing everything that it needs to do, or is there still room for improvement?
As a coach, there's always room for improvement, but I really like where we're getting to. I thought the second half of last week's game was a really complete half. And, it's always good to see the coach when all 3 phases really clicked at the end.
Now you got the rematch here. Everyone has been wanting to see it, and they're going to see it right now. How is your team different than the first time it played Hudson?
Well, hopefully we're 15 points better. So I'll let you know Saturday. Our kids have gone to work after they beat us, and they beat us soundly. So our kids they had to make a decision. Are we going to get better? We're going to work harder. We're going to try to find some things that's going to make us better, and hopefully we're able to do that this week.
Coach, an underrated overlooked unit on your team right now, the defensive line. Tell us how they're playing right now to get you to this point in the season.
They've kind of been great for us all year, to be honest with you. There's some really good size, but yet a couple of them who move real well. So it's been a group that's kind of been a mainstay all year long, and done a lot of good things. And they're going to have to be great this Saturday night in order to be able to compete with what Hudson can do, both running and passing.
Are you going to be able to put pressure on Mitch Guadani with the front four? Or are you going to have to bring linebackers? Are you going to have to bring somebody from the secondary to put pressure on him that way? Or is blitzing Mitch Guadani and his ability to run, a dangerous thing to do?
Well, I'm not sure anybody has that answer, to be honest with you. He's been able to beat whatever anybody sent at him. He's such a smart young man and a gifted athlete that, he's able to beat the bits with his feet and his arm. And, so you got to be careful doing too much of it. At the same time, you sit back and he's going to be able to kill you in different ways. So you're going to have to be able to try to do a lot of different things, hopefully, to try to slow him down a little bit, because no one's going to stop him.
On the other side of the coin, your quarterback's not too shabby himself, Jake Floria. He wasn't as sharp in the Week 9 game against Hudson. There were turnovers, there were missed opportunities there. What has been the process to coach him up to get him ready for this game?
Well, I mean, it's been his first year starting, and really, boy, as a high school guy, he really hasn't started much. So, it's just been a week by week, just keep getting better at things he needs to work on. And, he's very good with his feet, and I think he's getting better and better with his arm. And, if he can do that and stay balanced and not turn it over, then we'll have a chance in this game.
We do have a question in the post here from social user 2710. This user says the two division format for the playoffs that's currently in place. Are you in favor of it? How do you compare it against the old 4-region format?
Well, I mean, I think they all need to go to it. I think it's the best thing we've done. I think what you eliminate is those regions that are weak. In Division I for a long time, 1 and 4 were really, really good, and you were battling week in, week to get out, and some of those other teams didn't have to do that. So I think you can eliminate that weak region and maybe another strong region by having the 2, the North and the South. I think that's what we got to get to, and hopefully the state will make that move in all the divisions.
Yeah, just to illustrate your point, this year in Region 19 in Division 6, 5 of the top teams in that region were undefeated. It means you had a 4-5 matchup of 2 undefeated teams. One of those teams had to go on the road.
Yep, and that's the hard part of it. Yep.
Coach, you talked a little about it after the game last week, but to play Hudson, 2 teams to meet in the conference play, and to play them this late in the season, what does it just mean for the quality of football you guys play during the regular season?
Well, I think you look at the NOC, and I think most of the coaches said all along it's one of the best leagues in the state of Ohio, and it's kind of proved it. In Division I, it's got 2 of the final 8, and they had a number of different playoff teams in it. So it's a great league. The back half of our season is week in, week out. They're tough football teams, but you know what? That's what you need to play in the playoffs, because every week in the playoffs is a battle, and you've got to have that in the regular season in order to be able to get your team ready to play in the playoffs.
All right, Coach. Well, we want to thank you for joining us, and good luck this week on what should be a really good one.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to our game film segment. I was at the St. Ignatius versus Hudson game on Saturday night. Got some really good clips from the sideline. I was vining like a madman from the sideline, if you look at my Twitter feed that night. The play that we're about to show you here was not a touchdown by Mitch Guidani. However, it got them down to the 1-yard line in the second half. And as you can see here, Guidani dropped back. He sort of looked for a second downfield, then he takes off. Notice how 3 St. Ignatius defenders, including Draymond Jones and Ian Ryan, all follow Guidani to the left side, and he cuts back, and they all have to change direction. And then he helicopters down to the 1-yard line on the next play. The Explorers were able to score, and of course, they went on to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, one of your best side vines I've seen so far. So we're looking forward to see what happens this week, what you got for us next week. But now we're going to move on to the way we always close the show with could, should, will. And I'm going to start things off here with what could happen this week. Joe, I think this could be the week. I think that Kirtland's win streak might end here. I think that Loudonville is a quality team and could happen.
You won't go any higher than could on that, huh?
Not too much higher than could.
All right. I say Andy Isabella of Mayfield could have a rushing, receiving, and return touchdown in the game on Friday night against Bedford.
It's a little more bold.
A little bit.
All right, now for what should happen. You talked a little about it earlier, but I think this should be the toughest postseason test that St. Vincent St. Mary has had in the last 3 seasons. Obviously, they've won the last 2 titles, but I don't think it gets much tougher than this with Hubbard, L.J. Scott, Mr. Football candidate, and it's just a quality team.
And I'm going to reverse your decision on Kirtland here. Kirtland should advance to the state semifinals for the 4th consecutive year.
Now over to Will, and I think this one's pretty obvious for me. I think that St. Edward will lock up a spot in the state semifinal. Their road is a lot easier than Hudson's over there at the top half of the bracket.
Man, winning that Week 10 game against St. Ignatius gave St. Edward the golden road to the state semifinal, or to the state championship game, actually, if they want to play it. My will is sort of piggybacking on yours. If St. Edward does come through, the Division I, Region 1 final will involve 2 local teams. We've got an automatic in Mentor Hudson. I think St. Edward shows up, and it's St. Edward versus one of those 2 teams.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised either. Well, we want to thank you for joining us. It was really a good show here, previewing the playoffs and in the regional final or regional quarterfinal, depending on, what division we're looking at here.
I do like your modesty about already predicting it was a good show.
I thought it was very good.
I think it was a great show.
I think because Scott wasn't here, right?
Well, I do it, Scott.
But all right, we want to thank you for joining us. Get involved all week long on cleveland.com because we're going to have a lot more content. And we'll see you next week.